Everybody think about truth. What is truth to you? Because I want you to write it down after we take a minute to think about it. I know that's a pretty loaded question, but watching the news this morning and realizing that there doesn't seem to be a lot of truth. And as I just said, I don't know whether everybody heard about it, but as you are all in the reality, here comes Luke. Come on, come on, come on. Hey, Luke. Can you hear me, Luke?
Yeah.
Okay. I just asked everybody to make sure you have your foundations book near you and a pen and pencil, and everybody right now is writing down what they think truth is. So get a paper and pencil and write down what you think is truth. And the reality that we talked about earlier is that we are in the middle of history making. This will be in the history books. Within the next year, they'll start editing history books to put all of this information in. But we know that some of the history books that we have now do not really talk about truth in terms of the wars, the Hitler, all those things. Some of the history books have actually been re-edited to make it into a political issue. And so as we realize that we are in the middle of a historical event that's going to affect the whole world, and it is going to be written down differently from the different points of view. China is going to have their rendition. Italy will have their rendition. We will have ours, both on both sides of the aisle. And so you are in it, and you will be reading something in the next few years about how people see this event. And that's what history, government, all that we've been talking about all year is based on. It's based on somebody's truth. And I looked up what is truth this morning as I was thinking and praying about this. And of course, there are thousands of entries. And And this one is very long, and it talks about the neoclassical theories of truth, Tarski's theory of truth, correspondence revisited the facts, truth makers, realism and anti-realism, deflationism, truth and language. Now, what does that really tell you about what the world thinks of as truth? Anybody have a word for that kind of reality? I'm thinking of a word that begins with R. Anybody have an idea? No. How many of you have heard the word relativism? 1, 2. Okay. When you think of the term relativism, what do you think? And I got to get my poll out of the way here. I can't see everybody. Luke Blyer.
I think of like subjectivity, like everything's subjective. I think a lot of relativism is based on the fact that there's no truth, right? Like everything can be truth that you define as truth.
Right. Very good. Yeah, and that's what relativism is. Subjective ideas are going to be based on everybody's frame of reference. Shaylee?
Also that like people now like to bring up the fact that they have their own truth, even though they think that truth is a subjective term, which it isn't. It's an objective term. Like if something's either true or it isn't. It doesn't change depending on someone's view. Like if they don't like something, it doesn't make anything less true. It's either true for everyone or it's true for no one.
Right.
Well, I like to chime in, which is that when people think of the word fact base, like, the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, that's true, that's factual. But then there's truth, like, in terms of faith, which faith is a knowledge of the things that are not seen, but are also true. And you can't really base faith, well, some people, they don't base faith off of truth, which it is. Since I haven't seen it, it must not be true, which is also totally wrong.
Right. And that is the difference between, well, before I say that, anybody else want to chime in on their thoughts? Michael, did you have your hand up? Okay. And that is the difference between people of faith and people who have no godly faith. There are a lot of people who have faith in something, but not in Christ. Even the Judaic Christian values that we have based our country on have different opinions, different ideas, different scriptural bases. And so I'm going to give you a poll right now. I'm going to launch a poll. And basically, it's going to become a relative, subjective idea about the possibility of what the truth might be. Okay, so here it comes. You think our economy will recover by the time of the 2020 presidential election? Can you see that on your screen? Okay, so we have half and half, yes and no, and some maybes. Just lost another yes to the maybe realm. These are kind of fun. Okay, 9 of 10 have voted. I got one other person and maybe our, oh no, there's 10 of us, that's right. Reese is not here. Okay, so 2 of you said yes, 3 of you said no, and 4 said maybe. So therefore, we have a reality of subjective truth because we have no idea. So truth takes on a different meaning depending on the circumstances of the day. If we asked, yes, Shaylee?
I think there's also a difference between like truth and opinion, though. Like a poll, for example, we can't say that that's true because the presidential election hasn't happened yet, so it can't come to that point. So at this point, it would be just more like an opinion or an estimate, more than like or objective truth.
Yeah, and we're also talking when we think about what we recover. I think some people may think about the land of the people
You're breaking up.
will say no. Sorry, if there's more people that will say no, cover, because we have a lot of people that aren't going to put forth that foot to recover. So therefore, it's made up of.
Yeah,
And
and
just
I
because we
think,
say it doesn't mean it will happen.
right. And
Yeah.
that is the difference between opinion and fact. And we have a lot of opinion going on in our world right now, don't we? It's not based on fact. It's not based on truth because there's a battle going on against the reality of our country's foundations. And even in the beginning, you know, the battles that went on between Jefferson and John Adams, you know, they were on two different sides, two different parties. The battles that went on back then are the same kind of battles that we have now. We think maybe we're different than it was back then, but there's, you know, the great similarities in this world. The difference is, what is the main difference between then and now? How long did it take their news to get somewhere?
A long time. So now, because everything is so much quicker, everything spreads faster, like news and stuff, which seems like a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because since everyone has access to contact the rest of the world, everyone also has access to try and like deceive the rest of the world. So it's a double-edged sword.
Right, absolutely. Because we can hear something one day that sounds like truth, and a week later, we find out it's a lie. Right now, if you've watched the news in the last 2 days, uh-oh, can you still hear me? Because I've lost my video. Ah, there we go. Can you still hear me?